I heard you guys like decks under 20.
So, the producer gave us a raise since our last video was so popular.
Make that money.
This time, we've got decks under $50.
That's right, the big 5-0.
For you budget players, we are here. I had to implement this somehow.
The first deck is Six Samurai, or Secret Six Samurai.
Yeah, they're new. Fan favorites for a reason.
Yeah.
Right?
For the most part, Six Samurai are not an expensive deck, and you wouldn't even think them over $20. However, the new Secret Six Samurai, they are new, they came in at a higher rarity, so they still have a bit of a price on them.
Yeah, they're all like $2 or $3 a piece, so it can get like up, maybe $30 or $40 for the whole deck. But all the reprints are very cheap. It should definitely be stated. So Six Sams, they play really how they always have. It's just a swarm strategy. A swarm
they protect themselves.
Right, yeah. The new ones banish themselves, right?
Yep.
From the grave.
And of course, the ones on field can still like pop a different Six Sam, protect themselves.
And you still get tuners, which is always like a cool addition to the Six Sams. So they're able to make Sheehan. They're able to still make like Beast and Barkion.
Yeah, got to.
So I mean, all in all, it's just a simple deck to play. It's, like I said, a fan favorite for a reason. All things considered, if they'll just give Gateway to 3, then it might actually be good again.
That would be fun.
So the next deck is actually one of my favorites, Subterrors. I actually have been building this on and off for a long time, and I like the deck. I really do. A lot of people like to say it sucks because it isn't spirals and it, other TCG
Only good for my
better.
favorite deck is Shadows.
But all things considered, I mean, Subterrors are actually really fun. They have flip effects, they can be really slow, but with things like Fiendess and things like Archer and Nemesis Warrior, you can actually do quite a lot with this deck. You can do a lot of spamming the board, the monsters are really big.
Yeah, they're a little annoying to get rid of.
And with things like, Hidden City, you can start flipping them up and down. Subterror Final Battle actually is a reusable trap card. And this deck is under $50. The only really expensive things are Archer, she's like $3 or $4. She's a secret rare.
Yeah.
And the field spell, right? Hidden City, it's like $5 or $6. But other than that, it's not particularly expensive. So yeah, getting the core is not bad.
And in the future, we're slated to get Guru. Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Guru actually really does make this deck a lot better.
Guru and a Link Monster?
The Link Monster came in Circuit,
no,
but nobody ever remembers it because
Yeah,
it's kind of bad. But yeah, so definitely Subterror is a number 2.
Our next deck is Weather Painters.
I don't know. Yeah, Weather Painters. Also
or Weatheries.
Yeah,
I like that name.
I like Weather Painters more. So it's another one from Spirit Warriors, and this is a deck that's super unique in the whole column mechanic thing. Basically, the deck works in 2 ways. You've got the painters themselves, who, when they get banished by a Weather Painter's effect, they come back in the next standby phase. But how do they get these effects?
Well, you have to play their
The weather...
canvases?
The canvases.
And the canvases, they have effects that affect monster zones in a T-shape coming from the spell and trap zone.
Yeah, so a little bit quirky and weird to learn at first, kind of hard to keep up with, but when you do figure it out, it's actually really fun. This deck offers a lot of control. It's definitely one of those like slower, grindier decks, I feel like.
For sure.
It doesn't win too quickly.
They don't do anything fast.
Yeah, but it's fun if you're into that, and it is, like I said, another unique way of playing with columns. The reason the deck's expensive is all the cards are actually really cheap, except for one. It's the Weather Painter Snow, right?
The little one.
Yeah, the Stratos of sorts. She's the one who lets you actually get your canvases from the deck, so obviously she's really important. She's about like $13 or $14, so getting 3 copies of her can be a little bit pricey. It might run you closer to like 40, but once you have her, the rest of the deck's really cheap.
Fair enough.
So, next deck is Rockets, a deck that I am very excited to be building. I actually have all the cards right now. I'm just waiting for them to get more support. But Rockets are fun because they have a mechanic that kind of reminds you of like Burning Abyss or Phantom Knights, where whenever they're destroyed, they can float and they can just summon, a new rocket from the deck in end phase. But if they get targeted by a Link Monster's effect, they can actually activate their own effects, destroy themselves, and then take a piece of your opponent with them. It might be the same, like all the cards in the column it was in, or the new one that they're getting actually destroys the monster in the column it was in, and then anything adjacent. They have spell and trap removal and all that types of stuff.
And I do think people are kind of sleeping on that idea. An archetype that gets effects when they're targeted by Link monsters, and we're going deeper into a Link format.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Their key boss monster right now is Borlo Dragon, which admittedly costs quite a bit and can be a little bit tough to get your hands on. It's actually the reason this is kind of a $50 deck, because Borlo is about 25 or 30 bucks. But the rockets themselves are very cheap.
So there are plenty of them. A lot of them are really high up rarity though.
Yeah, they're high rarity but cheap. It's kind of this weird balance where people were more concerned with other cards from the set. So Squib Draw and Quick Launch, even though they're secret rares, only cost about $1 or $2 a piece. So doable under 50.
There. Next up is Pendulum Magicians.
Yeah, very boring pick. But I mean, we had to include it. It is cheap, right?
Pendulum Magicians, they had their own box, so
yeah, literally. I mean, you buy Pendulum Evolution and like you have like 1.5 copies of that deck.
Yeah, we bought a box and we had a deck and then some. Right?
Yeah, the cards are very easy to get. The Magicians themselves are only like $1 a piece.
And they're pretty competitive.
Yeah, pretty competitive. Yeah, I mean, all things considered, you will need an extra deck with this. So I think that all the money that you save from buying this, from buying the monsters, try to get them as cheaply as you can, invest in the extra deck. Obviously, Time Star Magician is kind of the go-to. It helps to have things like Psyframe Omega, but really any level 8 synchros will do. Harmonizing Magician makes level 8 synchros in general just like you can kind of spam them out.
Don't forget about the new rank 4.
Oh yeah, stuff like Baguska, right? Mm-hmm. And other rank 4s, work well. Just the toolbox in general. All in all, I mean, it's a deck that it's popular for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a competitive deck that's actually cheap.
And it's one of a few Pendulum decks that can still play in this Link format.
Right. So if for no reason than that, it's a good pick. Next deck's World Chalice, a deck that came out in Code of the Duelist. It's kind of like nerfed Spirals, some people like to say. That might be an insulting way of looking at it, but
no, I see that.
It's a Link spam deck. So, you are using these vanilla monsters and then like Lee and Guard Dragon and stuff and just spamming out Link monsters. What's interesting about this deck is all the cards are super cheap. Even the Ultras are like only $1. Ningirsu is about 7 or 8, but it's one of those things where, like with Pendulum Magicians, I would advise investing all the money that you save if you build it into your extra deck.
The more you invest in that extra, the better deck you're gonna have.
Yeah, like when I initially built it, this was kind of before. We only had like Ib and Ningirsu and like Firewall and stuff.
We had a Firewall?
We didn't have a Firewall. We're not gonna talk about that. So, the point is now that we have things like Akashic Magician, Trigate Wizard, Proxy Dragon, Link Karibo, we're getting more cards.
We don't have Link Karibo.
Yeah, we don't.
I mean,
we don't have that kind of hookup. But
maybe with your help.
But yeah, the more Link monsters come out, the more this deck gets better. And so it's kind of like nerf Spirals. In fact, if Spirals were to get hit on the next ban list, which I sure do hope they do, then this might be the next place to look.
Next on our list is Kozmos. You might remember Kozmos from a year or two back.
Yeah, I watched The Last Jedi just a couple of weeks ago. It was great.
But yeah, Kozmos are here. Why? They aren't very expensive.
They really aren't.
The top cards being
like
Tin Can
and Dark Lady.
Yeah.
And I mean, Tin Can's like $5. Dark Lady's like $4. I mean, that's really it. Most of them got reprinted gold rare. That'd be nice.
Oh yeah, I remember that gold rare print for Dark Destroyer. Ugly.
Yeah. Not the most attractive looking deck if you get an all gold rare, but the cards are like 10 cents each. So I mean,
there's a trade-off.
And there's, but yeah, it's a deck that you can build easily for under $50. It actually mixes well with other archetypes. Mm-hmm. I've seen like some Metal Foes and some stuff like that. Some random Subterror Kozmo thing.
And they weren't hit all that bad on the ban list, and the Link format doesn't really matter that much to them.
Yeah, in fact, you save money because you don't have to have an extra deck with this, which has always been kind of one of the charms, I think, of it. The next deck's Infernoids. So this deck, actually, funny enough, almost made it into the last video about decks under $20 because these things are cheap, like dirt cheap.
Like you walking down the sidewalk, you step in something, like what is this?
Yeah. Infernoid.
A Nunshoe.
But the thing that makes this deck expensive, because all the monsters, even the secrets and the ultras and all that stuff, they're like 25 cents or less, is Left Arm Offering. And I guess to a lesser degree, that grass looks greener.
Yeah.
Because to play this deck, you do want to be able to search that grass, get a lot of Infernoids in the grave quickly. So Left Arm Offering is really helpful for doing that. And unfortunately, it's, somewhere between about like $12, $14, $15 depending. So you will have
to go to an event, it's 20.
So you'll have to definitely invest in some copies of that, but other than that, the deck is dirt cheap. So I think that you can get it for under 50. I've seen it done. Actually, Calvin did it, and then, so, you know, yeah.
And that's how we have it.
Yeah, sitting around, ready to be used, and maybe another bundle. But yeah, definitely Infernoids. It's actually a pretty competitive deck. The mechanics haven't really, like, they've stood up really well with time. They haven't gotten crept out. You don't have to worry about Link monsters in Master Rule 4. They have, like, chainable effects. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you'll just take games. Next on our list is Lightsworn.
Yeah, a fan favorite, right?
For sure, and a Konami favorite, it seems.
Yeah, for sure.
Lightsworn made this list mainly because, well, Michael, Grass.
Yeah, Michael, Grass, because all the rest are really cheap, right?
Yeah.
Like, thanks
everybody's
to
been
Battles of
reprinted.
Legend.
I can't think of there's no main deck Lightsworn. Even Raiden himself.
It's like Lumina, Raiden, Fellis, Wolf.
They've all been reprinted.
Minerva's been reprinted. She's actually pretty cheap now.
Though you will use an extra deck here.
An extra deck does help. Yeah, I think you can definitely get this deck under 50. It's not too hard. But again, anything you save, definitely like put towards the extra deck.
True.
Now, funny fact, even though it's supposed to be like a budget video and stuff, if you really like Lightsworns and you ever want to max rarity them out, then this can go from decks under 50 to decks over 500. So
yeah, those are ultra rare copies.
Yeah, ultras of some stuff like Ultimate Solar Recharge and like Secret Charge of Light Brigade and like Ulti Judgment, all the crazy stuff.
It is that.
Yeah, it gets high up really fast. The last deck on the list is Dark Magician. Funny story, for a long time, this would not have made it onto this type of video because those cards were a lot. But thanks to Legendary Dragon decks, Dark Magician is actually a really accessible thing. Apprentice Illusion Magician's even been reprinted, so it's easy to get copies of her. She's about $8 or $9. And then Navigation and Circle and Eternal Soul and all those cards.
All been reprinted.
Yeah, they've all been reprinted. They're only a couple dollars each, so I really don't see why you shouldn't get it. It's Dark Magician.
Yeah, if you're a fan, well, you know you're a fan.
Yeah, Blue Eyes will run you more. It didn't make it in the video, but Dark Magicians do, and they're fun. Like when you get like Circle out and Eternal Soul out, you can kind of have the loop.
You're just taking cards off the board.
And banishing stuff every turn. So it's really pretty fun.
That wraps up our top 10 decks under 50.
Yeah, hopefully you guys liked it. Hopefully it gave you some ideas. Yu-Gi-Oh! Can be played under a budget.
Like always, if we forgot something, just throw it down in that comments.
And if you'd like to see a video that's like, 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks under $100, I mean, that's another popular budget range. We could definitely do that.
Yeah, or even like, the dirt cheapest decks.
Yeah.
Decks under
like $5, $1.
$1 where the cards are just pennies.
No matter what you need, we are here. So, remember, thumbs if you like the video, subs if you love the video.
Hit the notification bell if you want to join the squad.
And that's going to be it. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.